Okay, Papa. So I heard a rumor from somebody in the family that as a kid you had to bootleg.
My daddy died in 1937. Mama had 6 kids, 3 girls and 3 boys, and uh, 10. We had to move in my granddaddy in a little 3-room sharecropper's house, and my grandma, she had a hardener in the arteries, and she was kind of crazy. She didn't like kids, so we had to stay outside as much as we could, stay away from her. But my mother remarried in 45. She married a guy who just got out of prison for killing a boy for going with his daughter, and he told him not to. But anyway, he was good to us. He got us through school. But when I was 15 years old, I was driving a '39 Plymouth Coupe hauling bootleg whiskey out of Cherokee, Alabama. I'd drive that old Plymouth Coupe up, and they'd get those 5-gallon jugs of white whiskey out of the cave, and I'd bring it in to my stepdaddy, and he would take it out and break it down into quarts and pints and sell it to the colored folks. So I was doing that when I was probably 15 years old, hauling that bootleg whiskey out of Alabama. But I never got caught, and I was with him. We'd hide that whiskey around in the woods, or we had a little grocery store in a grocery store, just wherever. But he always said I was too honest. I didn't want to do it, because I didn't, but I did. So it was.
Well, you had to do it to survive, especially back then.
And you got on?
Yeah, people really love your stories.
Back when I was in high school, my stepdaddy liked to go to bed at 6 o'clock, so we'd have to sneak around and couldn't have any friends in because he would want to go to bed at 6, and he was real ill-tempered. So a friend of mine was in high school. His brother ran the plantation club out on the state line, and his uncle ran the 45 club out on the state line. That's where the story Walking Tall was about Buford Pusser.
Mm-hmm.
So we hung out there on the weekends, and at night we'd go out there and hang out. And Buford Pusser, he was in the movie Walking Tall, but the true stories about him is not really true. Buford, before he became sheriff, he would steal stuff in Corinth and take it to Chicago and sell it. And then he'd steal stuff from Chicago and bring it in Corinth and sell it. But he became sheriff, and I've seen, I guess, 5 people killed out there. I didn't actually see them killed, but I saw a couple of them killed, but I was around when there was killed. It was just a bad place. And Buford was really a bad person. His wife was killed in an ambush. He said it was an ambush. They ambushed him, wounded him, killed his wife. He said it was gangsters. But it wasn't any gangsters, just old hoodlums like us hanging around, and bootleggers and stuff like that. Everything was illegal. It was beer and whiskey was illegal, but they sold it anyway. But we found out later that it just came out here recently that he actually killed his wife and shot himself to make it. But it took all these years to find out that after they come out with all these new ways to get evidence, that it wasn't what he said, it was an ambush, but he actually killed his wife and shot himself, wounded himself. So I know several people, friends of mine. I know 2 of my friends were killed out there. And my neighbor across the street, her husband run a bootleg joint. He went out there and they shot and killed him through a screen door. Pee Wee Walker was messing with somebody out there and they killed him, mutilated him. And Towhead and Nimbo Price was gambling. They got mad and Tommy Bivens shot Nimbo and killed him. Junior Smith shot Towhead White and killed him. And it's on and on. There were several people killed out there, but the Buford wasn't a hero. He shot Louise and they got to arguing over something. He knocked her down and shot her in the throat with a .357. You could see the bullet holes right through the carpet, where it went down through the carpet. So, and I've stopped a lot of fights. They used to call me the little bouncer. You know, I'd get into me between people and stop them from fighting. They'd usually listen to me because most of the time the people didn't want to fight. They wanted somebody to stop them anyway, you know. So it was, I had a pretty busy life growing up and stayed busy and did a lot of things.
Yeah, that sounded so traumatic.
Yeah. We went through a lot when I was growing up, you know. When I was in my teens, and you do a lot of things, you know. Of course, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the Lord at the time. Of course, my mother was a Christian, but she can't go to church because she was too busy with, you know, with us and her 6 kids and my stepdaddy's 6 kids. We wasn't all at home at the same time, but it was still busy, you know, taking care of it. So we survived and we all got through school and pretty, I guess you'd not say now, exciting life, but then it was just something to do, I guess you say.
Very movie worthy. They write movies off of your experience.
Yeah, if I started out from the time I was able to walk till me and Debbie got married, it would be a story. Of course, when me and Debbie got married and we had Pat, that was the end of my life, you know, running. I settled down and became a Christian, and that was the end of my wild stories, you know, of course. Of course, I've had a few stories in Amory where I fought for one reason or another,
but they all deserved it.
Well, I thought they did. Maybe they didn't.